After my first throw, figure I should do the introduction. Just trying to get a little practice round in, see if I can shoot a decent round or not. Really just want to practice some lines, so I'm working on my forehand a lot. And it's hard on your home course to make yourself think about different lines because you've been throwing the same ones for so long. And now that I have a forehand that I can trust, I'm trying to see what these forehand lines are that I see people throw all the time. But let's do backhand up with you anyway. And it caught. So one down through one hole. Sounds promising. So speaking of working on the forehands, I normally would throw a backhand spike over this tree right here. But what I want to do instead is throw a forehand out left of the trees instead of trying to play plinko through. So, caught it a little bit early, got inside the trees for a putt, blaming it on camera jitters. That's my excuse for this entire round. I haven't filmed a round in a long time. A 3 on the second hole, respectable, still 50% birdies, that's pretty damn good. A couple of things that I'm going to try to make a habit of through the round is one, letting you know what disc I'm throwing, because I have not been doing that. And the other thing is not letting the camera bother me. The second thing is going to be a lot harder. So first 2 holes in this third hole, I've thrown a Firebird. It is an OG, which is the Sun King event, Ocala Firebird. Nice and stable, star plastic. I'm throwing a forehand on this hole. I normally throw backhand around. I don't really think there's anything wrong with that play. I play the skip, but just want to work on the forehand today a little bit more. Pretty wobbly out of my hand, but I'm putting. Second forehand of the day was a little bit wobbly out of the hand. The first one was smooth, but only the second one I opened too late. Made it a little bit wobbly, and I pulled it putt exact right distance. So I just have to try to connect on the putt without sailing too far past. A little bit too hard, but it shot straight down instead of straight back out. So now we're 66% birdies, and that's even better. Now, I've been saying the percentages on the last 2 holes, but of course I'm just joking. I don't expect to keep that percentage that high. Shoot some hot rounds out here, being my local course, but not necessarily that high by any means. On this fourth hole, I am throwing a Star Blend Eagle. Nice and overstable, but it does flip a little bit out of the hand. I want to hang it out wide, maybe just touching the sidewalk before it curls to the basket. A little bit low, but it's still got the nice skip that I was expecting, and putting again. You may be wondering who's filming for me. I don't have a magic hand following me around filming. It's Holly behind the camera. A lot of you obviously already know her, and she's helping me a lot. So, shout out to her. If I make this putt, it'll be for her. If I don't make it, I didn't say that. I also putt with bangers. Everybody that knows me knows that because they all make fun of me for it, but I figured I'd say it anyway. A bit wide, 20 feet on the comeback. Wide again, and I am feeling the camera jitters. I'd be lying if I said camera didn't make me nervous, but hopefully as I do this more and get further into the round, it'll make me a little bit less nervous. Took a 4 on the 4th hole, but that's okay, it happens. And I don't think I'm putting on this hole. So I want to try to keep the rounds, if I'm going to start filming my rounds, realistic as possible. I take bogeys, I do, I'm human. So I want to try to keep those in. You know, I want to keep everything, well, just like I said, realistic. I take bogeys, I get birdies. Last hole was a bogey, this hole's a birdie. So what I can do, like Sexton does, is I can swap them in my head. 4 is kind of a hard hole. I can just pretend I 3 that and that the wind shoved this down and I got a 3 on this. No bogeys ever happened in my mind. It keeps me more level. And before I forget, again, last hole, same eagle that I threw in hole 4. This hole, hole 6, first par 4 of the course. If I'm trying to get, it's about 600 feet. If I'm trying to get there, I'm throwing a little bit too hard, a little bit more harder than I'm comfortable with. So what I want to do is instead throw a driver, still a distance driver, but I just want to throw it on a nice hyzer out of the right of these trees, get out somewhere in the fairways, throw a nice forehand up. So today, I think I'm going to throw just a little left to right crosswind. I don't want to throw something too understable, so I'm going to throw a nice beefy Colossus. Bit high out of the hand, but should still have easily cleared about 380 feet. Not too bad for a nice little soft throw. We'll see where I landed. Wound up about 400 feet out of the tee pad, just very right from the target. That's fine, because I was already planning on throwing a nice overstable forehand anyway. Firebird again. Very far from the basket, I'll most likely be laying that up, and that is why we work on things. I'd rather make that mistake now with a forehand, which I tend to do a lot, which is letting overstable forehands go early or not on anhydrous. I'd rather do that now than in a tournament or a round that I had something going on. Let's see what I can do. Try to get it a little bit of a lofty run. Maybe a little bit too lofty, a little more confidence, probably would have went in, but really, I'm happy to not be long or have rolled, anything crazy. So this hole, hole 6B, as it's currently named, plays about, I think, 410 feet or something. But it has a very steep incline. You could kind of see on the camera at the last 40, 50 so feet goes straight up. So what that means is in the air this hole plays a little bit more like something like 500 is what people say. I'm not particularly fond of rollers, so I won't be throwing one. I'm just going to try to air one out and see if I can reach it. Throwing a nice Hades. And the disclaimer for this disc, it is the beefiest Hades I've found, although it is still a Hades. Very unstable. Got a little quick footed under that throw, so I pulled it high, and now it's left, and I'll probably give a little jump putt run at it, but take a 3 on this hole and start birding through 6B or 6C and 6D, 7. Those are some good stretches that I think I can birdie. I'm really not that far, so it's not that would prevent me from wanting to really give this a full-hearted run. It's the fact that if I miss, I would be facing a very, very steep death putt. And that is not something that you ever really want to have to put yourself in. It's not a position you want to be in, so it's not necessary for me to fully run this because I'm not that desperate for birdies yet. But I am still going to try to give it a nice bid. And that is what you don't want to happen. So I guess I'm trying again. Much further than I was now. Game plan kind of still the same. Not so happy with the last roll away. This time, a proper layup will seat me right under the basket, and I will be taking my second bogey of the round. Mistakes happen, and that would be my second one of the round. And both mistakes notably were putting. Going back to this nice eagle, this I think star blend eagle that I threw on hole 4. Give me a nice little tester right about edge of circle, maybe outside, to get my birdie train rolling. A nice tester. Birdie train may have just left the port. I also realized that I said the train departed the port, not the station. Don't make fun of me, cameras are hard. This is the infamous island hole out here at Floral Park. Don't make it in, go to the drop zone, and you're taking it forth from there. So we're going to see if this will keep me along the tracks of the birdie train or if it will derail me entirely. Throwing a nice star rhino. We are still on course. Putting slightly downhill, but considering I'm 15 feet away, if I missed, that's on me. That's 2. Hole 7, the other somewhat infamous hole. Also an island, but a much bigger island with a much more generous drop zone. I'm going to mash an AVR X3 down there on Anheuser and hopefully dive out right at the basket. Give me a nice little puck job. Like I forgot about wind. There's such a thing as wind, and it affects putters a lot. I'm putting from the drop zone. I'm not sure my little heart can take the roller coaster of emotions. Birdie, bogey, bogey, birdie. It's honestly too much to bear. So, after another bogey, this round is a real roller coaster so far. Again, still blaming you, the audience. This hole, I'm gonna try to let the wind do a little work for me. I want it to push my disc over. I'm throwing a Hades. I want to mash it. This is hole 8. Everybody hates this hole. I think it's great. It's 450 or 460 feet. It's not the distance that makes it tricky. It's the awkward angle that is pinched off by these trees and how far right you need to get before touching the ground. So what I will try to do is get my disc to bail over right. If not, I want it to sail long, just nice and straight. Easy 3, no matter what. It's a bit low out of my hand, otherwise it would have been parked. But, like I said, easy 3, no matter what. The wind did exactly what I asked it to and shoved my disc straight out of the air into the nicest worm burner that you could ask for. Now I'm 100 feet from the basket. I'm gonna pitch up a forehand, walk away with a 3. That's fine with me. Looking at either an AVR X3 or a Rhino. Going with the AVR. That got away from me, but well within my putting range, should be no problem. Sometimes for good measure, because everybody knows if you don't make it twice, it was luck. Yes, it was luck. My nice overstable Firebird, probably going to start calling it over-reliable. Throwing a forehand under the low ceiling on hole 9. I want it to sweep out of that anhyzer, lift anhyzer, right back at the basket. Huge jump that I can't say I was honestly expecting, but it was very close to hitting the pole. Probably would have been nice to slow it down a little bit. Pretty sure I'm putting this one in with the forward. On to the back. I think I finished the front 3 down? Not great, but not bad, because I'm boogieing a lot. So I'm starting this hole off with a buzz, one of my many gifts from Mr. Brian Earhart. A little too much hyzer, but it sat nicely. Oh my gosh, I'm still putting. I was gonna look at the camera and say, and this was a little bit downhill, so I don't want to miss it. But if I said that to you, I would have been thinking about it and I would have missed it. Oh man, made another putt. Hole 11 plays with a slight cart path OP, so if you go short or too far left, you're out of bounds. Gets into a lot of players' heads, so I cheat and I throw wide of everything anyway with an overstable disc. I'm throwing this eagle again. I like it. A lot farther than I thought it was, but still putting with no danger. There's nothing in between me and the basket. About, if I were to give my humble yet somewhat accurate opinion, 30 feet away. forehand, 273-foot hole, uphill, hole 12 at that, and kind of stinks downhill pretty rapidly past the basket. I'm going to throw a lot of disc on my forehand, even though it's an overstable disc. It is the Halo Wraith. It's a lot of disc as far as speed, but in terms of stability, it doesn't go too far. That way I can throw softer, more controlled, and it's more stable in this slight breeze. A bit long. We'll see if I'm laying it up or if I'm running it. 28 feet maybe. A little bit uphill. Freight train was late departing the station, but it has departed. Hole 12B, surrounded by a path of OB. Hole plays like a peninsula hole. Long or too far left or right is out of bounds. Too far left is easy to accomplish with a backhand. The ground is a little bit skippy and slopes downhill to the left. What I'm going to try to throw here is an understable, controlled forehand, which is what I've been working on a lot lately. Not to say that I've gotten quite where I want to be with it yet, but it's a shot that I want to have in my arsenal. I'm going to throw an Aztec, and I'm going to try to pop it on some highs to get it to stand up, maybe flex a little bit, and die about the distance that I want. Hold it a little bit to the right side of the fairway, but I am putting downhill. Walking up to my putt, I feel the need to inform you, as my lovely camera woman has told me. She got tired of looking at me, so she tried to block my face a little bit with her finger in the camera.
So silly.
This is about 32 feet downhill. And it's in the basket. Again, I'd tell you that it's sloping downhill out of bounds, but if I did, I probably would have missed the putt. Another forehand coming up. This time, again, with this lovely pink Halo Wraith, which also I feel I need to mention, Holly got for me. Thank you, Holly.
You're welcome.
This is 12C now. A bit further than the last hole, so I feel I need to disc up, but it's not so much further that I want to go understable. I want to go an overstable driver, especially in this wind. I think I like it. In fact, I quite like that throw a lot. Because I don't even have to putt. My favorite kind of putt is no kind of putt. Think about that one for a minute. Ooh. Perhaps I am stronger than you, audience. My nerves have been hardened into steel by the fire of bogeys. Firebird, 12D. Letters get hard to keep track of. Got letters in, numbers out here. My brain can't handle that much. You got me again. That's a nice roll that I'm not sure the camera caught the entirety of. I've actually never been over here this short and right. So I might throw 2 up shots. I'm only going to play the first. But in terms of practice, I'd like to throw 2. Can't decide what the play is going to be. I think the play is going to be throwing a roach straight at it. Nice big Z roach, also a gift from Mr. Brian Earhart. Right through this middle gap. Took a nice little roll off of the tree that I hit, but I'm not sure the camera caught all of. But I've actually never been over here this short and right. So I might try to practice this upshot with more than one throw. Still only playing the first, however. Want to throw a nice big Z roach straight at it through this gap here. Also a gift from Mr. Brian Earhart. We're putting. And the other idea, so this nice AVRX3 forehand, same gap, to see which one I can hit the gap better with. Results are inconclusive. Nice little shake hands with the basket action. Hole 13, one of my favorite holes, has OB that wraps around nice and close to the basket. I'm going to throw the same star right. I want to keep it nice and straight. I don't want to expose it on hyzer. If I expose it on hyzer, because it is a rhino, it will look very overstable. Is that hyzer I was talking about. But it actually skips nice and straight for a change, and I'm still putting. I still got pretty close to the basket. This tree is kind of being a douche though. In its defense, it's been here way longer than I have. Oh. Tapping in a 3. Oh. Hurts the heart a little bit. Hole 14. Another hole I like to cheat on, and by cheat I mean, see this nice fairway right here in the middle with a mandel that tells you to go to the right of this first tree? I don't play that. People play that? That's great. I'm going out there, really high, over the trees, with a really overstable boss. Whip-locked it a bit. Probably should have taken more time to line up and kind of gauge the wind, but that's okay. Rush those happen sometimes. We all do it. Outside circle 2, but who cares? We're running it. Drop just in front of it, and now it's just an easy clear. This is another hole that I played kind of a strange way. There's a nice fairway straight down the middle, and I normally would throw a backhand at it with probably a buzz, but over the past couple of weeks I've been throwing this line right out here, right into the left of this very first tree, wide of all the trees, that'll skip back in towards the basket. I don't really know why I like throwing the line, but I'm confident in it, and sometimes it's all that really matters. Looks like I caught the last tree and dropped down in about 60 feet away. about really, say 47, 50 feet, something like that. I'm feeling it. I don't know why I was feeling it, because that was an air ball. Another 3. Hole 16, the last remaining par 4. I'm going to throw my nice, stable Hades, and I want to get as far down the fairway as I can without having to throw too hard. I'm going to throw a nice controlled hyzer, let it stand up and push maybe 500 feet. Anything further than that, it's just a bonus, because this fairway is pretty tight. I did not give her the hyzer that she deserved, so I'll have to settle for quite a bit shorter than I wanted, but the bonus to being where I am, as right as I am, I have to contend with less trees. I can throw an overstable fairway or a distance driver into the green and let it skip under that low ceiling, and hopefully still take a nice easy 3. So, looks like I'll have to settle for a measly 430 feet way right. But that's fine, because I have this humongous fairway right here that I can hit with a nice overstable disc. I'm thinking this Firebird or this Eagle. What do you think, Holly?
Eagle?
Okay, I will throw the Eagle. Looks pretty parched. Thank you, Holly. Looks like Holly chose correctly, so thank you again, Holly. That's been a nice 3 for another birdie. Second to last hole, hole 17. Nothing overly noteworthy about this hole, except you have to pick left gap or right gap from this huge, beautiful oak right here. And if you go too far past the basket, maybe about 30 feet, maybe just outside circle's edge, so more like 35 feet, is OB. Now Holly, seeing as how you picked the perfect choice for me last time, am I throwing backhand with the Eagle right side gap, or am I throwing forehand down the middle with a Firebird?
Backhand.
Backhand Eagle. So this essentially lines me up to throw almost the exact same shot that I just threw for my upshot on hole 16. Because my disc was right by that basket, about the same distance. As long as I can recreate that, you're sitting pretty. Sitting very pretty. And I want to throw the forehand anyway. Forehand's been doing me well today. I want to know how it would have done. Burned that one over trying to throw it too hard because it wasn't my play, and I was the last second. I'm like, it'd be pretty cool if I aced it too on camera. Holly once again securing me a birdie. I didn't even do the work. She did it for me. One hole to go. And at this point, if you turned into the front half, forget about that part. Just watch the back. Go with the forehand with the Eagle. Something a little bit less stable that I can trust. Kind of wide on a hyzer. Let it dive back in for the forehand. Try to end the round on a high note. Maybe around the basket a little bit, just because I'm throwing a hyzer. Other than that, I want to get out of here smooth and easy. That is the beauty of learning forehand. Sometimes they do that. I stand up in my forehand. That's a hyzer. Looks like we'll be walking out with a par. I am just not quite content to let sleeping dogs lie. I normally birdie this hole, shanked it with a forehand, very short, hit the tree. So, what can I say? We're jump putting in. Probably just right about 100 feet. I have two bangers here. One of them is a Pro D banger with a collapsed flight plate, very unstable. Helps for these longer putts to keep it in the air longer. And that is the boy we'll be going with. Skied the putt a little bit, so laid it up anyway for a 3, and that's fine. I'll walk out of this hole with a par and be happy with the back 9 or back 12 that I shot out here. So, I think I finished something like 11 down. It's not too bad. I had a lot of bogeys to still shoot 11 down. So in hindsight, I'm very happy with the round. Can't pretend that they don't happen. But on the back, shot very well for myself. Kept a level head. Didn't let the camera get to me as much. And then I taunted the camera on a hole, 12D, and well, saw how that ended for me. Shanked my drive immediately. The audience still holds some power. Hopefully you enjoyed watching. Give you a little bit of a taste of what it's going to be like to film these rounds out here as I get more experience and hopefully get more people involved. I know there's some people I've talked to who will be interested. And, well, I'll see you next time.